I watch her forge my signature, and the world tilts on an axis only I can feel. Her manicured nails, the color of dried blood, scratch against the cheap paper of the college fund withdrawal slip. It's a sound I remember with a clarity that's chilling, like the scrape of claws on coffin wood. My coffin. I'm 18 again. Back in this suffocating room, Dad's study, where the air is thick with the smell of old books and decaying leather. It mingles with the sickly sweet scent of Jessica's perfume, a gardenia monstrosity that always makes my stomach clench. She thinks I'm the same naive little sister she's always known. The one who believed every lie, who forgave every betrayal, who walked blindly into the trap she set time and time again. She doesn't know I've lived this day before. She doesn't know I remember the years that followed this moment, the poverty, the humiliation, the slow, grinding destruction of my life while she built an empire on my stolen inheritance. She slides the freshly signed papers across the polished mahogany desk toward Dad, her movements fluid and confident. "See," she says, her voice a syrupy melody that used to fool me. "All taken care of. Maya understands this is for the best. I'll just manage her funds until she's a little more stable." My chest burns with a familiar white-hot rage. It's an inferno that once consumed me from the inside out. But this time, I don't let it show. I force the fire down, banking it into a cold, hard ember in my gut. I look at my older sister, the architect of my first ruin, and I make my face a mask of the same trusting, slightly vacant smile she remembers so well. "Thank you, Jessie," I say, my voice soft and guileless. "I know you'll take care of everything." Her answering smile is brilliant, predatory. She buys it. Of course she does. In her world, I am a prop, a stepping stone. It has never occurred to her that I could be anything else. But there's a clock ticking, a deadline, only I am truly aware of. Dad is at his quarterly checkup. He'll be back in the afternoon, but he has an appointment with his lawyer at 2 o'clock. A routine review of the family trust. In my last life, I learned what that meant far too late. The will states that if I am deemed incapable of managing my own affairs before the age of 21, my legal guardianship falls to the next of kin. David, our uncle, is the named trustee on paper, but Jessica has spent years convincing everyone he's too busy, too detached, and that she is the only one who truly cares. If Jessica successfully transfers the $2 million from my college fund into her account before that 2 o'clock meeting, it will serve as de facto proof that I've willingly ceded control. She will use it to trigger the inheritance clause, arguing that my consent to this transfer demonstrates my incompetence. She will become my guardian again, locking me out of my own life, just like before. She has 6 hours. I feel the familiar panic rise, the ghostly sensation of walls closing in. But then I remember. I remember the back alleys I slept in. I remember the gnawing hunger. I remember the triumphant look on her face when she saw me broken on the street years later and tossed a crumpled $5 bill at my feet. The rage returns, cold and sharp this time. A weapon. I slip my phone from my pocket, my movements slow and deliberate, keeping it below the edge of the desk. My thumb hovers over the screen. Jessica is still talking, explaining to our half-senile father how she'll invest the money in a low-risk portfolio for my future. The same lie she told last time. I press the red button. The screen confirms it, recording video. I angle it just so, capturing the forged withdrawal slip on the desk, my signature clumsily replicated in her elegant script. I pan up slightly to catch the self-satisfied smirk on her face as she believes she has won. "This will set you up for life, Maya," she says, patting my hand. Her touch feels like a spider skittering across my skin. "I know," I whisper, my voice catching with feigned emotion. "I trust you." She doesn't know what those words really mean. I trust her to be greedy. I trust her to be cruel. I trust her to underestimate me, right up until the end. And this time, I know exactly what comes next. Because this time, I'm not the victim in her story. I'm the author of hers. And the final chapter is going to be brutal. The moment Jessica leaves the study to pour herself a celebratory glass of wine in the kitchen, I'm moving. The air in the room feels charged, electric with my purpose. I grab my phone, stop the recording, and save the file to 3 separate cloud services. Evidence. The word feels solid, real. My hands are steady as I dial the number I memorized from a lifetime of regret. The bank's 24-hour fraud hotline. The cheerful, automated voice is a bizarre counterpoint to the storm brewing in our house. Security and Fraud Department, this is Carol speaking. How can I help you? I take a deep breath, keeping my voice level, calm, and laced with just the right amount of distress. Hello, Carol. My name is Maya Chen. I need to report a suspected fraudulent transaction on my trust fund account. I believe someone is attempting to steal my inheritance. I provide the account number, my date of birth, my mother's maiden name, all the little security details that Jessica thinks only she has memorized to help me. On the other end of the line, I can hear the click-clack of a keyboard. I see the account, Miss Chen, and I do see a large withdrawal request initiated just a few moments ago, a wire transfer for the full balance. That transfer was not authorized by me, I say, the words tasting like victory. My signature was forged. I need you to freeze the account immediately. All transactions, in or out, nothing moves. Of course, Miss Chen. I've placed an immediate hold on the account pending investigation. The transfer has been flagged and will not be processed. Can you confirm the name of the person who you believe initiated this? My sister, I say, and for the first time, I let a sliver of genuine bitterness into my voice. Jessica Chen. As I hang up, I can hear Jessica in the kitchen, humming. She's clinking her wine glass against the marble countertop, a triumphant little rhythm. The sound grates on my nerves, a prelude to a victory she will never achieve. It doesn't take long, maybe 5 minutes. Her phone rings, a shrill, custom ringtone she reserves for important calls. I lean against the doorframe of the study, watching her. She answers with a smug, buttery voice. Hello, this is Jessica. Her expression shifts. The smugness drains away, replaced by a flicker of confusion, then irritation. Her eyes dart toward me. What do you mean, a security hold? No, that's impossible. I have the signed authorization right here. Maya? She's right here. She approved it. She holds the phone out to me, her smile tight and forced. Maya, sweetie, it's the bank. They have some silly security question. Just tell them you approved the transfer. I take the phone. Hello? Miss Chen? This is Richard from Sterling Trust Bank. We're just following up on the security freeze you requested. Your sister seems to believe there has been a mistake. I look directly into Jessica's eyes. Her confident smile is starting to crack at the edges, a fine porcelain glaze giving way to the ugly clay beneath. I let the silence stretch just for a second, enjoying the panic that starts to bloom in her gaze. There's no mistake, I say into the phone, my voice clear and unwavering. I did not authorize that transfer. I hand the phone back to her. Her hand is trembling slightly as she takes it. She listens for a moment, her face turning from pale to ashen. But the money's already moving to my account for her education expenses. She stammers into the receiver, repeating the same lines she used on me just minutes ago. Her eyes are locked on mine, pleading, demanding. Don't you trust your big sister? The question hangs in the air between us, thick with the ghosts of 1,000 past deceptions. I let my carefully constructed mask of naivete fall away, piece by piece, until she is staring at the real me, the one who remembers everything. I trusted you last time, Jessica, I reply, my voice quiet but carrying the weight of a ruined lifetime. And the time before that. And the time before that. But my trust? That's one account you've finally overdrawn. Her face crumbles. It's not a dramatic, theatrical collapse. It's a quiet implosion of arrogance, the sudden, shocking realization that the game has changed, the rules are different, and she is no longer in control. She ends the call without another word. The silence in the kitchen is heavy, broken only by the frantic, panicked tapping of her nails against her phone's screen. I walk past her and pick up the landline from the hall table. I dial the number for the law office of Miller, Finch, and Associates. Good morning, Miller, Finch, and Associates. How may I direct your call? Hi, I'm just calling to confirm an appointment for David and Maya Chen at 2 p.m. today with Mr. Miller. One moment. I can hear the soft clicking of a keyboard. Jessica has stopped her frantic dialing. She's frozen, listening, her back ramrod straight. Yes, I see it right here. Chen, 2 p.m. We'll see you then. Thank you, I say, and hang up the phone. I turn to face her. The panic in her eyes has now curdled into something ugly, something sharp and hateful. She's not just confused anymore. She's cornered. And I know, better than anyone, what a cornered animal is capable of. She opens her mouth to speak, to rage, to lie, but no words come out. Behind me, I can hear her frantically dialing again, a new number this time. She's scrambling, trying to get ahead of a threat she doesn't even understand yet. But it's too late. I'm not just one step ahead of her. I'm a lifetime ahead. And she has no idea how far I'm willing to go to collect on the debts she owes me. The law office of Miller, Finch, and Associates is exactly as I remember it, an imposing cathedral of wealth and power downtown. The air smells of lemon polish and old money. Cold marble floors echo with the sharp, angry clicks of Jessica's heels as she paces the waiting room. I sit perfectly still on a plush leather armchair, letting the warm afternoon sunlight stream through the towering floor-to-ceiling windows, feeling it on my skin. It feels like absolution. Jessica had arrived in a flurry of manufactured crisis, clutching a thick leather briefcase. She's dressed for war in a tailored power suit that probably cost more than my first car in my previous life. She looks every bit the concerned, capable older sister, a wolf in sheep's clothing. When Mr. Miller finally calls us in, his office is even more intimidating. Bookshelves line the walls from floor to ceiling, filled with leather-bound volumes that look like they haven't been touched in a century. He's a stern-looking man with silver hair and eyes that seem to miss nothing. He gestures for us to sit. Our Uncle David is already there, looking uncomfortable and out of place in a rumpled suit. He gives me a weak, apologetic smile. He's a good man, but a passive one. Jessica has always known how to use that against him, and against me. Jessica doesn't wait for preamble. She opens her briefcase with a dramatic flair, pulling out a thick manila folder. "Mr. Miller, Uncle David," she begins, her voice dripping with false sincerity. "I'm afraid we have a serious situation. It's about Maya." She slides a stack of documents across the vast expanse of the mahogany desk. I see the letterhead of a psychiatrist I've never met. I see pages of what looks like a diary, filled with handwriting that is a close but not perfect imitation of my own. I see bank statements she's doctored to show erratic spending. It's an impressive portfolio of lies. "Your Honor," she says, forgetting for a moment we are not in a courtroom. "Maya has always been fragile, especially since Mom and Dad passed. She's been having delusions, talking about things that aren't real. She's making impulsive, dangerous decisions. This morning, she accused me of trying to steal from her and froze her college fund." She shakes her head, a perfect picture of sorrowful concern. "I'm terrified she's going to hurt herself or squander the inheritance our parents left to protect her. I believe it's time we explored a more formal arrangement, a conservatorship." There it is, the word that doomed me last time. The legal cage she locked me in. Uncle David shifts uncomfortably in his chair, his brow furrowed with worry. He's falling for it, just like before. Mr. Miller is listening intently, his expression unreadable. Jessica glances at the Rolex on her wrist, a subtle, almost imperceptible movement. But I see it. I know that tick. She's on a schedule. She has somewhere else to be. The memory hits me with the force of a physical blow, a meeting, a startup. I let the silence hang for a beat, letting her lies settle in the air like dust. Then I lean forward. "Is that why you emptied my account 3 times in my previous life?" I ask, my voice calm and conversational. The room goes silent. Jessica freezes. Uncle David looks at me, his eyes wide with confusion. "Previous life? Maya, what are you talking about?" I keep my eyes locked on Jessica. Her mask is starting to slip. "Or is it because you have a meeting with Brandon Walsh at 4 o'clock this afternoon? At the tech incubator downtown? To discuss the seed funding for his new app? The one you were planning to finance with my money?" The color drains from Jessica's face. It's one thing to be accused of theft. It's another thing entirely to have the specific, secret details of your plan laid bare. Brandon Walsh was her secret weapon, a brilliant programmer she was grooming. Nobody was supposed to know about him. How how could you possibly know that? She stammers, catching herself a half second too late. The admission hangs in the air, a confession she didn't even realize she was making. She recovers quickly, forcing a laugh that sounds like breaking glass. See, this is what I mean, delusions. She's making things up. Brandon who? I've never heard of him. But the lie is too thin. Too late. The seed of doubt has been planted. Mr. Miller's gaze sharpens, moving from my face to Jessica's, then to the pile of forged documents on his desk. Uncle David just looks lost, his head turning back and forth between us as if watching a tennis match he doesn't understand. And these documents, I continue, gesturing to the folder. That psychiatrist, Dr. Alistair Finch, I've never met him. But his nephew is a junior partner at the law firm that handles your personal finances, isn't he? A convenient connection. Jessica's knuckles are white where she's gripping the arms of her chair. The confident, concerned sister is gone, replaced by a cornered predator. The warm sunlight streaming through the window doesn't touch her. She's shrouded in the cold shadow of her own deceit. I lean back in my chair, mimicking her earlier posture of calm control. I'm not the one who's unstable, Jessica. I'm just the one who finally remembers. The silence that follows is profound. It's the sound of a carefully constructed world beginning to shatter. The air is thick with unspoken questions. Jessica's sharp, panicked breaths are the only sound, echoing off the cold, silent judgment of the leather-bound books that line the walls. She thought she was writing my future. She had no idea I was rewriting her past. Mr. Miller leans forward, steepling his fingers. He ignores the pile of Jessica's forgeries on his desk and picks up a thick, leather-bound portfolio. It's the original file from my parents' estate. He opens it with a quiet, decisive snap. Jessica, he says, his voice devoid of warmth, there's a fundamental misunderstanding here that we need to address. He slides a document across the desk toward her. It's a page from our parents' will, a page I've only ever seen in my nightmares. Your parents were very specific in their instructions. While you were named as Maya's temporary guardian in the event of their death while she was a minor, that arrangement terminated automatically on her 18th birthday, which was last week. Jessica stares at the page, her expression blank. But I'm her sister. I'm responsible for her. No, Mr. Miller says, his voice firm. You are not. Your parents appointed a trustee to oversee Maya's inheritance until she reaches the age of 21. Someone they believed would be impartial and act solely in her best interest. He turns his gaze to my uncle, who shrinks slightly under the attention. They named your uncle, David Chen, as the sole trustee. The silence in the room is absolute. Jessica looks from the will to David, then back again, her mind visibly struggling to process the information. It's as if the very foundation of her world has been ripped out from under her. All her power, all her control over me, was built on a lie she had told so often she'd started to believe it herself. She had never been my legal guardian as an adult. She had never had the right to touch a single penny of my money. But the bank, the account paperwork, she sputters, it all lists me as the custodian. Paperwork which you filed, Mr. Miller says, his tone turning icy. Paperwork that required the trustee's signature. David, did you sign any documents authorizing Jessica to act as custodian on Maya's trust fund account? David shakes his head, looking pale and sick. No, never. Jessica told me it was all taken care of, that it was just a continuation of the old arrangement. I trusted her. The final piece clicks into place. Mr. Miller doesn't even need to say it. Then any signature purporting to be David's on those documents is a forgery. Forgery? Conservatorship? Fraud. The words hang in the air, heavy and damning. Jessica is no longer just a manipulative sister, she's a criminal. In my past life, I didn't learn this until it was too late, after years of her siphoning off my money, transaction by transaction, with David's forged signature. By the time I found out, the money was gone, and Jessica had covered her tracks so well that proving the forgeries was nearly impossible. But this time is different. This time, she tried to take it all at once. She created a single, undeniable act of fraud that I stopped dead in its tracks. A strange sense of calm washes over me. The board is set. The pieces are in motion. By tomorrow morning, when the banks open and the full weight of the investigation comes down, I'll either be a millionaire with a clear path to my future, or Jessica, in her desperation, will have found a way to destroy both of our lives in a final, spiteful act. The stakes have never been higher. Jessica is staring at me now, her eyes filled with a pure, undiluted hatred. The confusion and panic have burned away, leaving only rage. She sees me, truly sees me for the first time, not as her stupid little sister, but as the architect of her downfall. You! She hisses, her voice low and venomous. You did this! I should feel scared. In my past life, this is the moment I would have crumbled. I would have cried, pleaded, maybe even apologized, just to make the confrontation stop. The wounded animal lashing out. But I'm not that person anymore. Instead of crying, instead of shouting, I do something no one in the room expects. I reach down into my bag and pull out my laptop. I place it on the desk and open it, the soft chime of the startup screen echoing in the tense silence. I turn the screen toward Mr. Miller and Uncle David. On it is a freshly minted business registration certificate from the state, filed this morning at 8:02 a.m. Apex Innovations LLC, I say, my voice steady. It's a tech consultancy firm, my firm. I click to the next tab. It's a business plan, dozens of pages long, filled with market analysis, revenue projections, and service outlines. It's the same business I built from scratch in my previous life, the one that eventually made me a fortune, long after Jessica's theft had forced me to start with nothing. Jessica is right about one thing, I say, looking directly at Mr. Miller. I am making impulsive decisions. I'm impulsively deciding to take control of my own life. I'm impulsively deciding to build my own future, and I'm impulsively deciding to press charges for felony fraud and forgery if one more dollar of my inheritance is touched. The power in the room has shifted so completely, it's almost a physical force. Jessica is silent, her face a mask of disbelief. She came here to paint me as a fragile child, incapable of managing my own life. But the person I'm showing them isn't fragile. She's a founder, an innovator, a survivor. Jessica has no idea that I've already won. She's still playing a game of checkers, moving her pieces to trap a pawn. She doesn't realize I'm playing chess, and I've just put her king in checkmate. And the most beautiful part? She never even saw it coming. The air in Mr. Miller's office is thick with the fallout of the revelation. Jessica is frozen, a statue of incandescent rage, while Uncle David just stares at my laptop screen, his mouth slightly agape. Mr. Miller, however, is all business. He makes a quick call to the bank, his voice low and authoritative, confirming the freeze on the account and requesting all signature cards and transaction requests from the past 3 years be immediately couriered to his office. Maya, he says, hanging up the phone, his expression shifting from stern lawyer to something approaching respect. The funds will be held in stasis until we have this sorted out. First thing tomorrow, we will file to have the custodianship officially and legally corrected to reflect your parents' wishes. The account will be unfrozen and control will revert entirely to you. Thank you, Mr. Miller, I say. Jessica finally finds her voice, a shrill, desperate sound. You can't do this. That money is for her protection. She doesn't know what she's doing. On the contrary, I say, turning to my laptop. I open my banking app. With a few clicks, I input the details for my newly opened business account. I look up at Jessica, a cold smile touching my lips. I know exactly what I'm doing. The moment the funds are released tomorrow, they won't be sitting in a personal account for her to try and access again. They'll be transferred directly into my company, my fortress. Her phone buzzes insistently on the polished desk, the screen lighting up with a name I recognize. Marco's Casino Host. It buzzes again. Capital One Platinum. Payment overdue. A third time. Vegas Bellagio Concierge. Her secret life, her mountain of debt is calling. You can't do this, Jessica shouts again, her voice cracking. She's on her feet now, her carefully composed facade shattered. That money was supposed to pay for your future. The slip is so small, so quick, but everyone in the room hears it. My future, her expenses. I raise an eyebrow. Your future? What part of your future were you planning to fund with my $2 million, Jessica? Your gambling debts? I let the question hang in the air, sharp and pointed. Or maybe the Vegas trip you took last month? The one where you came back without mom's diamond necklace? The one you told me you'd put in a safe deposit box for me? Did you lose that at the tables too? Uncle David gasps. The necklace was our mother's most prized possession, the last significant piece of her jewelry. Jessica's face goes sheet white. She had stolen not just my future, but our family's past, and pawned it all for a few more chips. Just then, there's a soft knock on the office door. Mr. Miller's assistant pokes her head in. Excuse me, Mr. Miller, there's an Alex Rivera here to see Maya Chen. He says it's urgent. A genuine smile breaks across my face. Send him in, please. Alex Rivera walks in, and he's a sight to behold. He's sharp, confident, and carries a briefcase that looks like it means business. In my last life, it took me 5 years of struggle before I met Alex and we co-founded our company. This time, I called him the day I woke up in my 18-year-old body. He was a struggling freelance coder then, just like before, full of brilliant ideas no one would fund. When I laid out the business plan and offered him a 20% stake and the title of CTO, he thought I was crazy. But then I detailed 3 of his own secret proprietary algorithms to him, ideas he hadn't told another living soul. He was on a plane to my city by that afternoon. Maya, he says, his voice professional but with a hint of excitement. He doesn't even glance at Jessica or David. Good news, I have them. He opens his briefcase and pulls out 3 thick documents, placing them on the desk in front of Mr. Miller. They are contracts. CyberCore Dynamics just signed, Alex says, tapping the first one. They want our full security audit package. That's a $60,000 retainer. He pushes the second one forward. Innovate Health is in for the data migration platform. $90,000. He grins, tapping the final, thickest document. And Quantum Leap Tech just wired the deposit for a full-scale system architecture overhaul. $50,000 deposit on a $200,000 project. He pauses, letting the numbers sink in. We're officially in business. 3 major clients, $350,000 in initial contracts, all secured today, based on a business that was, until this morning, just an idea. I look at Jessica. Her face is a canvas of utter defeat. The business wasn't just a fantasy I'd concocted to look impressive. It was real. It was already successful. It was funded with contracts, not my inheritance. My money was just the accelerator, not the fuel. Uncle David is staring at the contracts, then at me, a look of dawning comprehension on his face. He's finally seeing me not as the fragile niece who needed protection, but as a businesswoman, a leader. I glance at my phone. The digital clock on the screen reads 3 p.m. 2 hours until the banks close. 2 hours for Jessica to stew in the poison of her own failure. Her phone continues to buzz, a frantic, desperate rhythm against the wood of the desk. Her creditors are closing in, the walls of her own making finally starting to crumble. And I'm the one who just pushed the first stone. The lobby of the Sterling Trust Bank is a grand, echoing chamber of marble and hushed wealth. It feels like a mausoleum, a fitting place for Jessica's ambitions to be laid to rest. We're here with Uncle David, at Mr. Miller's insistence, to meet with the bank manager in person and ensure the transition of power tomorrow will be seamless. Jessica, of course, sees this as her last stand, her final, desperate play. She corners David near a towering marble pillar while we wait, her voice a low, urgent hiss. She's trying to claw back some semblance of control to salvage something from the wreckage of her lies. David, you have to listen to me, she pleads, grabbing his arm. You're the trustee. You have the final say. You can see she's not well. Maya's clearly having a breakdown. She's spinning these wild fantasies, talking about past lives and businesses that don't exist. She's going to lose everything. David looks torn, his natural aversion to conflict warring with the undeniable evidence he's seen. He looks over at me, his eyes full of a pained confusion. I walk toward them, my footsteps echoing on the polished floor. I don't raise my voice. I don't need to. Except this business does exist, I say calmly. I pull the signed contracts from my briefcase, the ones Alex delivered. I lay them out on a low marble table between us, the thick vellum and bold signatures a stark physical rebuttal to her claims. $350,000 in binding agreements signed today. I think that qualifies as existing. I then pull out a second folder. This one is from Mr. Miller. And so do these. I spread the papers next to the contracts. They are bank records. My bank records for the past 3 years. Mr. Miller's paralegal had worked miracles getting them expedited. Each document shows a pattern. Small, regular withdrawals, 5,000 here, 10,000 there. All authorized by the custodian, Jessica Chen, with David's forged signature. And each withdrawal corresponds perfectly with credit card statements in Jessica's name, showing charges from Las Vegas, from online poker sites, from high-end boutiques in New York and Paris. It's a meticulous, damning timeline of her theft. You stole from me, Jessica, I say, my voice dropping, losing its calm edge for a moment and letting the cold fury show. You stole from me for years, piece by piece. You bled my inheritance dry while telling me you were protecting it. You told me I was bad with money, that I was frivolous, while you were the one gambling it away. Jessica stares at the evidence scattered on the marble between us. Her lies and my truth, side by side. There is nowhere left for her to hide. Her face, which has been a whirlwind of emotions all day, arrogance, panic, rage, finally goes utterly blank. The mask doesn't just slip, it shatters into 1,000 pieces. You were supposed to be grateful, she hisses, the words slithering out full of venom. You were supposed to be stupid. You were supposed to stay broken so I could fix you. That was the deal, just like always. There it is. The truth, uglier and more twisted than I could have ever imagined. She didn't just want my money. She wanted my weakness. She needed me to be a perpetual victim so she could be the hero of her own story. My success was never part of her plan. That was the old Maya, I reply, my voice turning to ice. I pick up one of the withdrawal slips she forged, the one from this morning, and hold it next to a legitimate document David signed years ago. The signatures are close, but not the same. The subtle hesitation in her forgery, the slightly different slant. Under scrutiny, the lie is obvious. This Maya remembers everything. I slide the 2 documents in front of my uncle. He stares at them, his gaze moving from the elegant, confident loop of his own signature to the slightly cramped, studied imitation of Jessica's. He looks at the mountain of evidence, the contracts, the bank statements, the forgeries. He finally looks up, not at me, but at Jessica. And for the first time in my memory, I see real anger in his eyes. The passive, gentle man is gone, replaced by the trustee our parents had chosen, the protector. Jessica, he says, his voice low and shaking with a quiet rage. What have you done? She doesn't answer, she just stares at me, her eyes burning with a hatred so profound it's almost terrifying. It's the look of a creator staring at a creation that has defied her. A monster that has broken its chains and is now coming to burn down her castle. The bank manager approaches then, a polite smile on his face. Mr. Chen? Miss Chen, we're ready for you. I gather my papers, leaving Jessica's forgeries scattered on the marble table like fallen leaves. As I walk away, I slide the final document across the counter to the manager. It's the wire transfer form, pre-filled, ready to move every last cent of my $2 million into the Apex Innovations LLC account the second the freeze is lifted at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Jessica sees it. She understands. It's over. Not just today's battle, but the entire war. The life she stole from me is gone, and the future she planned to build on its ashes has just turned to dust. The next morning, the world moves with a swift and satisfying precision. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzes with a notification from my banking app. Transaction complete. Deposit, $2 million. The number glows on the screen, a digital confirmation of my victory. It's not just money, it's freedom. It's the sound of my cage door swinging open. At 9:05 a.m., a second notification. This one, a news alert I'd set up. Courthouse filings. Update, bankruptcy, Chapter 7. Filer, Jessica Chen. It's almost poetic. The very moment my empire is funded, hers officially collapses. Her creditors, no longer held at bay by the promise of my inheritance, had descended. 6 months later, I'm standing in my own corner office. It's a sprawling space on the 40th floor of a gleaming downtown skyscraper with panoramic windows that overlook the entire city. The air smells of fresh coffee and new beginnings. Below, the city is a sprawling map of my future. I can see the building where Miller, Finch, and Associates resides, and a few blocks over, the grand, imposing structure of the Sterling Trust Bank. They look small from up here. My gaze drifts to a less glamorous part of town, to a street of once fashionable townhouses. I watch as two men in overalls haul a gaudy, oversized sofa out of one of them. Jessica's sofa. A moving truck is parked at the curb, its bay already filled with the repossessed artifacts of a life lived on credit and lies. I feel a flicker of something, but it isn't pity. It's just closure. The quiet, final turning of a page. Coffee's ready. Alex's voice pulls me from my thoughts. He walks in, placing a steaming mug on my desk. He looks different than he did 6 months ago. The struggling, hungry look in his eyes is gone, replaced by the easy confidence of a man who knows his genius is finally being recognized. He's not just my CTO, he's my partner, my friend. Thanks, Alex, I say, taking the mug. Don't thank me yet, he says with a grin, dropping a thick folder on my desk. Just got off the phone with Quantum Leap. They love the beta of the new security protocol. They want to accelerate the timeline and double the budget. He taps the folder. The revised contract is in there. It's worth $500,000, Maya, $500,000. I smile, a real, genuine smile that reaches my eyes. Well then, I'll thank you for that. My phone rings. It's Dad. His calls are still hesitant, filled with a clumsy, aching regret. It's a world away from the oblivious, smiling man from my memories. Uncle David had shown him everything. The forgeries, the bank statements, the truth. The knowledge had shattered his placid world, but it had also, for the first time, made him see his daughters for who they really were. Maya, hi, honey. Hi, Dad. I just saw the article in the Business Journal about Apex Innovations. Fastest growing tech startup of the year. It's incredible, honey. Your mother would have been so proud. His voice is thick with unshed tears. I wanted to call and say that. And to ask, do you need anything? Anything at all? I look around my office. At the stunning view, at the lucrative contract on my desk, at the loyal friend standing by my side. The life I'm living now is brighter, more real than the one I clawed my way to in my previous life. That life was built on a foundation of pain and survival. This one is built on purpose and foresight. I have everything I ever wanted: justice, success, peace, and the one thing that's more valuable than any inheritance, a future that I own completely and entirely. No, Dad, I say, my voice soft but firm. I don't need anything, but thank you for asking. I end the call and take a sip of my coffee. It's strong and hot and tastes like the future. This time, I didn't just take the money back. I took my life back. And with it, I built an empire Jessica could never even have imagined, let alone steal. She was so focused on my past, she never stood a chance against my future.